Thank you for taking time to hear about Coaching Life Matters. We're a nonprofit organization committed to removing barriers to healthy relationships. And I'm so excited about this next chapter of the journey. We're meeting amazing people, and we're looking forward in 2014 to meeting even more great people. We're going to Jerusalem. We'll be working with Holocaust victims' children, with people who've gone through terrorist actions, people who've been deeply wounded. And we're going because of the real joy of meeting such amazing people. Charlotte asked me one time, she said, honey, do you ever get tired of doing people's stories? And I looked at her and said, do you ever get tired of reading novels? And she smiled. We're getting to listen to the stories. And just as you shared your story with me, we're getting to do the very same thing with others, to help them move through those obstacles, to think through. And you know what we've learned? If people have good information, safety and time, there's not anything that they can't think through. And so we're excited about it. And what I want to ask you to consider joining us. And this is one way you can do it. Would you consider giving a tax-deductible donation to Coaching Life Matters by the end of the year? And then think about 2014, if you could do a monthly donation. You know, a little bit from a lot of us will help us do a whole lot for a lot of wonderful people. So think about that. The second thing, I want to offer you a gift. The book, Delta Blues, Darkness to Light. We've just finished it. And it's the story of understanding how to move out of the darkness into the light, in the process a human being goes through to go forward and discover the joy that human beings were meant to live with. I want you to listen, please, to Gino Greganti's story, and you'll understand why I'm so excited about the vision of moving out, to listen to what's going on out there. So if you'll listen to Gino.
I was in a really dark place, and I was kind of, I knew I just really wanted to talk to somebody about the problems I was having. And I'm a Marine Corps veteran, so the only place...
8 years, right?
8 years. Okay. The only place I knew to go was the VA hospital. So I went, and I'll let my wife finish, because I was not really there mentally during that part, so I'm going to let her.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of the background. When we got married, I knew that as being a wife of a Marine Corps vet, he served in enduring freedom in Afghanistan, that there would be some things that I would have to deal with, that we would have to deal with, some hurdles that we would have to go over, like anxiety, like overwhelming feelings, little things, you know, like if you can't find the keys, it's a really big deal all of a sudden. And we worked through those, and those things we were able to, you know, combat with and whatnot. But eventually, it got to be too much. Just, I call it having your cup full. You know, like you've got a stress cup, and you've got a limit of how much stress you can take. Well, his cup was full, and it started to overflow, and it was intense. He was having just problems with like rage and disappointment, and these overwhelming feelings that he couldn't get rid of. And he called me at work one day, and he said, I need to talk to somebody, and I need to talk to someone right now. I can't live like this anymore, and I'm going to the VA. I said, okay, well, call me if you need me. And he called me about an hour later, and he said, you'll never get this. They disbanded the mental health department, so they're just going to have me wait in the emergency room while they call a psychiatrist, an on-call psychiatrist. And I really think I need you here. So, okay, I'm coming. I'll be there as fast as possible.
I felt like a bomb went off inside of me, and couldn't get out. That's where I was at. I felt like I was about to just physically explode. And sitting in a waiting room was the last thing I needed to do at that moment. I'm sitting with Vietnam veterans and people with injuries, physical injuries that need medical attention. Not that my medical needs weren't serious, but from a mental standpoint, I didn't feel like that's where I belonged. And
Tell us what they gave you when the psychiatrist got there. Tell us the choices they gave you.
He asked me what was going on, and I was honest with him. I told him for the past couple of months, I've been having problems with rage. The littlest thing would set me off, and it was scaring me. And it was scaring me to the point that I was having emotional outbursts, kind of like if you were to panic inside, because I didn't want to have those thoughts, and I didn't know why I was having those thoughts, because that wasn't me. And I would destroy stuff. We were in a rental car, and I was telling Aaron, my wife, that I need help. I don't want to think like this. I don't want to have these thoughts. And I would physically just lose control. I broke the dashboard in our rental car, and I would have these fits, kind of like a tantrum, like a 3-year-old would have if he doesn't get what he wants. But my tantrums were because I couldn't think what I wanted to think. All I could think was bad stuff. And
So what did the psychiatrist offer you?
he told me, I told him all of this, and when I told him my reactions, what was happening to me, he took a step back, and I could immediately see fear in his eyes. He was afraid of me, and he told me I had 2 choices. I could take this medication, or I could commit myself into a psychiatric ward. And I just looked at him like he didn't know what he was talking about. I said, I don't need to be in a psychiatric ward, and I don't need medication. I don't agree with you. And he gave me no option. Take the medication or check yourself into the hospital. And I said, give me the medication. So I'm not going to check myself into the hospital. And
Tell him the redeeming thing that walked in the door. This is an amazing moment here, right now.
He told me that he was finished. He was going to give me the prescription, and he was going to send in a social worker to speak with me and tell me about some other options offered to vets that are suffering from PTSD. And this lady, her name was Susan, she came in and she didn't say anything to me. I didn't say anything to her. She looked at me and she teared up, and she told me that I looked like I needed a hug. And she said, I don't usually do this, but can I give you a hug? And I just kind of lost it emotionally. And I gave her a hug, and she told me that she's been through a lot, and she's been where I'm at, and it will get better. I just need to take time.
God is everywhere.
Tell us what, just seeing your story up on the board, when I ask you, what is it that you see? Tell us what happened
Just from listening to your story.
it surprised me. I was pretty shocked. I guess the first thing that brought my attention was how many stepmothers I've had.
How many?
6. Another thing that surprised me that Terry pointed out to me was how much God was with me through a lot of my pain growing up. And you can see by the stars. The thing that surprised me the most is when we were done talking about my story, Terry looked at me and said, "You shouldn't even be alive." And hearing that from somebody is kind of eye-opening for me, because I've never thought about anything that I'm dealing with as an adult being from my childhood. I thought everything I was going through was because I was failing as a person. And Terry showed me that I was loved by certain people, and that I did have I had God in me, even as a boy. And, at first when he was telling me that, I had my doubts about spiritually. And what he told me is that I was operating without any tools. And he was going to give me some tools that he would think would help me deal with the obstacles and the problems that I was having. And he gave me some literature, and I took it home. And I started reading it, and immediately it just kind of clicked with me. And I understood what he was trying to show me. He was trying to tell me that nobody's ever shown you how to live and how to really live. And the book that I was reading was teaching me, was basically about things that, how to live your life the way Jesus lived, and the Beatitudes specifically. And I realized that I was doing the opposite of all of those. I was very judgmental. I was carrying around this guilt. I was holding people accountable. I couldn't say no to people because I had this driving desire to achieve and perform. And as you can see, my 12-year-old beliefs: work hard, achieve, be strong and dependable, and be cautious and hide. That's the way I was living my life. And when he showed me that, it changed everything for me.
Now, Aaron, tell us what's going on now with you two. Where y'all headed?
It's a completely different scenario. What I talked about at the beginning of this, about how every day was a little bit of a struggle working with anxieties and working with just different overwhelming emotions popping up whenever. It's not like that anymore. I didn't know that this was going to be a possibility. I didn't know that life could get so much better, and it could get. It's just such a simple thing to apply to your life, and it makes a world of difference. It's ingenious. Amazing. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, Gino, for sharing your story. Some important information we all need to know, that every hour, 4 veterans attempt to take their life, and one of those 4 succeeds. That's unconscionable. And we're going out to meet these young people with hope. I read the proverb this morning, Proverbs 21:21, that says, "He who pursues righteousness and love will find life, prosperity, and honor." Would you go with us and share this vision? And let's go start with their story and then begin to process how to meet the obstacles that you faced, that I faced, that everybody faces. So thank you for listening, and all the best to you.